trying to see if it's easier to do YouTube videos on my phone because I feel like it probably is. It's kind of a bit of a setup and this looks pretty good. But there's gonna be no like audio intervention on this, so hopefully it turns out okay. I really wanted to create a YouTube video today, but I realized that I don't have any articles of any of the things that I want to talk about except for one, which is quantum healing. And what a topic to talk about. You know, I'm definitely not the person for official dictionary definitions of literally anything. I just kind of channel information and I'm just like, yes, this is that. This is quantum healing. So it's more of an association for me. So if there's things that I am saying that are not like official textbook quantum healing, just know that this is my channeling, my approach, my interpretation of what I perceive quantum healing to be. And that's how I'm getting this information out to the masses. So maybe it is not the official quantum healing, but I always channel things to this exact point in place in time, and I feel like that's what is most important. So let's see what comes through. I would say that, you know, regardless of what your interpretation of quantum healing is, it is really just healing on a metaphysical level, which is amazing. And I feel like it's very valid and true. And, you know, there's obviously a lot of disbelief in the practice itself, whether that is, you know, Reiki healing, whether that's, you know, other types of Eastern medicine. I don't even know any off the top of my head, but I can tell you from personal experience, it has absolutely worked for me. I have seen, you know, firsthand that it has worked for other people. And I think that not to downplay quantum healing in itself, because I don't think it ever should be, but it is not like a magic pill. It is not something that is going to cure everything immediately, at least. To me, it's more so, if anything, setting an intention and allowing yourself to be open to this healing, which is kind of similar to what a placebo effect is. And I talked about placebo effect on TikTok, but I can also potentially do a YouTube video about it. It's like pretty straightforward. I don't think there's like a ton of information that needs to be said about it besides the interest that placebo effects work, even if they aren't, you know, a pill. You can kind of imagine and mentally, emotionally align to a placebo effect. Sorry, there's so much going on outside right now. There's a few things, in my opinion, that distinguishes quantum healing. Yes, it is like the metaphysical form of healing. It is like what I would perceive healing to be on like an subatomic particle level. I don't even know what that definition is, but it's like the deepest that you can possibly go, the deepest that you can be, because I feel that it encompasses physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, while other forms of healing or other modalities may only kind of like you know, be one or the other. But this to me is like true spiritual, true healing. And I feel like there's a lot of different ways to do this, but I can share like more specifically what my process is. So in terms of how quantum healing works, I think there's a lot of things that can potentially happen, that can potentially go on. I feel like generally, again, it is kind of like the intention setting, and it is sort of the allowance of negative energy to sort of release from your body, but also because you're like putting this wall down, you're allowing other energies to kind of like come in and, you know, do this removal, do this healing. It could be kind of like even just like shaking things up a little bit. It can be moving energy into different places of your body. I genuinely feel like the opportunities are endless, and this ladders back to my belief, which is that our energetic bodies are an amalgamation of different parts. Some of it is lower vibrational energy, some of it is higher vibrational energy, but I think that even if you're not someone who, you know, wholeheartedly believes in metaphysics, you can kind of get down with the idea that we are, of course, an amalgamation of parts. We have so many different things going on in our body, physically, mentally, and emotionally, and they all kind of jive together. And there are some parts of us which are great, amazing, they're working for us very well, other parts which are not. And I also feel like this ladders back to the idea that we are universally like a clear channel. So, you know, when we kind of like pop up into this world, we are, you know, I don't want to say the word pure, but we are kind of like pure beings, and we are poised for success. We don't have a lot that is, you know, negatively influencing or impacting us. But as we go through this life, whether it is, you know, biological, which can be kind of like our past energies coming back to haunt us, which we're not transmuting, or it could be environmental factors, which we are just, you know, allowing ourselves to, you know, hold on to energetically or energy wise. I don't know. We're just allowing this negative energy to ruminate in any way, shape, or form. We're just not transmuting it. We're collecting it. It's becoming a problem in our energetic body. And that I genuinely feel like, in a nutshell, is why we have a lot of issues physically, mentally, and emotionally. We should be a clear channel. We should be like perfect, good to go. It's just every time we're taking a breath, every time we're living, every time we're going through negative experiences, you know, we are inevitably holding on to that trauma unless we proactively release it. And I've done another video of how to release negative energy. So this video is more so about like the specific quantum healing process in itself. I also do want to mention that quantum healing, I genuinely feel like it's more about other energies and other entities helping us heal. I know that's like kind of a weird thing to say, maybe even a controversial thing to say, because I do feel that like spirits are heavily involved in the healing process, whether that's interdimensional beings, you know, spirit guides, ascended masters, even like past loved ones, etc. Like anything and everything, you know, that is like alive, so to speak, it has conscious energy. It can, you know, if it can move itself, it can likely move other things as well. Just, you know, it just makes sense. So yeah, I think that if you're kind of at a loss and I feel like you're not really knowing what to do, and you do have a sense of receptivity to you, because that is really important, right? Like if you're petrified of other entities or energies like being all up in your space, chances are you're not going to love quantum healing, especially if you kind of have the door closed and you just don't want to let energy out. That can be really hard. Anyway, all right, I feel like that's generally the description of the topic, so I will go into how you can accomplish quantum healing. Oh, one last thing. The gateway process, the files that were unearthed from the CIA actually like generally kind of talk about quantum healing, and it's something that they use loosely to, I don't know if heal is like specifically the word, but get you into a meditative space where you are kind of like in this mass spiritual dimensional place where pretty much anything and everything is possible. So I would kind of associate that with healing as well, because also healing can be possible. So if you're interested in that, you can Google I think it's like the gateway experiment or the gateway process. I'm not entirely sure, but it may not say specifically quantum healing, but you'll notice things which speak to it, kind of like broadly, yeah, reminiscent of quantum healing. All right, so here's my process when I want to go through a quantum healing opportunity. So I would highly recommend laying down if you can, like really try to, unless it's like really painful or uncomfortable, depending on what you're experiencing, because you want to have this clear flow of energy. You don't want to have like your hands interlocking or your feet kind of, you know, over each other. And even when you're sitting down, you're kind of like in an L shape and energy just isn't really flowing through you that well. So I would highly recommend laying down. So the next thing you want to do is take note of your body, and really take note of it, because I'm also very guilty of this. As you're going through your life day to day, you're kind of like ignoring a lot of discomforts that you have. This could be you know, you eat something kind of funny and you just kind of deal with it. Maybe your back is kind of hurting. You're just like, okay, whatever, I gotta keep like moving on. A lot of times we just don't have time, or if we're not totally clued into our intuition, we're just like not even aware of it. So this is really the opportunity to figure out what is going on. Where do we feel discomfort? It also doesn't even have to be discomfort. It could be like a part of our body that's like feeling particularly well, particularly healed. But discomfort can kind of mean anything. It doesn't have to be pain. It could just be like an odd feeling that you get at certain, you know, in certain areas of your body. And if it is a little weird and uncomfortable, it's generally indicative of energy just kind of like pooling, massing in a particular area, which is typically, you know, an indication that maybe there's some negative energy there. If you are more so heightened and like attuned to your, or tuned into your intuition, you may be able to intellectualize a little bit of what's happening. So definitely feel free to, yeah, take note of that as well. I think the hardest thing that people like go through or deal with when they're in like a meditative space is that they have anxiety, they have intrusive thoughts, they like can't stop thinking about what's going on. And like, I want to say like, at first glance, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it likely means that we have negative energy that's like ruminating that we need to like let go of. And these are signs like, hey, pay attention to me. Like, you need to deal with me. You need to deal with this particular thought, feeling, emotion, this energy. It needs to like process from your body. And I think a lot of people like ignore it and reject it. And that's why it keeps coming up over and over and over again. Like, if you're having intrusive thoughts, these are things that you need to work through and work on. And it's not necessarily truth. Like, if you have an intrusive thought that you're going to die in a car accident, for example, it's likely there's something within that concept or theme that you need to work with, you need to resolve. It could be fear of, like, let's think of what the concepts and themes of cars are. It could be fear of freedom. It could be fear of journey in life. Like, it could be so many different things. And, you know, it for whatever reason, the message is just like heightened or particularly dramatic because you're not paying enough attention, right? Like, so the less attention that you're paying to your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, the more intense and dramatic the intrusive thoughts or the messages are going to be. So yeah, it can be really hard to maintain a high vibration and a level of peace, but really try to get there. You can talk to your thoughts, honestly. So if you have a thought that is like really intense, really emotional, you can just be like, look, I will get to you at another time. Like, I really need to focus on this quantum healing. And, you know, after a bit of practice, it should theoretically work, but you really just kind of want to go into this session feeling a sense of peace, feeling a sense of love, because I do feel like you'll have the best result. It'll be the most effective. Like, you just don't want to be in a higher vibrational space, because that theoretically means that you're paying more mind and attention to the negative energy and what's kind of like going wrong. And yeah, you just kind of want to shift the perspective, right? Like, we're all about good vibes and healing and positivity and love, etc. I messed this up. You're supposed to set an intention before this. So here is setting the intention. So you could literally set an intention for anything. I feel like a lot of people probably in this circumstance or situation want to deal with discomfort in their body. They want to deal with pain. It could also be mental, emotional as well. But like, whatever result that you want to get out of the quantum healing, this is your time to do it. It can be specific. It can be more vague. You know, whatever you feel is right. If you're also like very uncomfortable with this process, maybe you don't meditate, maybe you're just like not super into spirituality, you can also set the intention to be like protected during this, because you know, you're going to be in a vulnerable state or space. So if that helps you and makes you feel better, you definitely can. I feel like a lot of people are like, you definitely have to like do this, but I've done a lot of work. I've never had to. I feel like that's just the precedent that you set when you're, you know, subconsciously when you're in this space or state. So I wouldn't freak out if you didn't, but if it makes you feel more comfortable, definitely do it. Feel free to keep it like kind of broad. If you're just not sure what it is, you can just say like setting the intention to release old negative stagnant energy. I mean, that's like always solid. That's pretty much like always what I default to if like you're not totally sure what it is, but you just have a feeling that it's something. All right, so then you're gonna kind of want to feel and observe. So the likelihood is that after setting this intention, after, you know, being in a high vibrational space, things are going to start to happen and start to work. And you can, sorry, just to clarify, you can definitely like more so specify that you want it to be like quantum healing, because again, I feel like what distinguishes quantum healing is that there is outside energies or entities which are helping you. So you can be like kind of clear with that as well. So yeah, pay attention physically, mentally, emotionally, like what is coming through. Like, you already did this process in the beginning, which was supposed to kind of tune you into what you need to work on. But now that this process is actually happening, you can observe what's going on in your body. And, you know, what goes on in your body at this point, place, and time can be really indicative of like what needs to go on. So you may have memories that pop up, which could be, you know, past traumas which need to be transmuted. You can have like certain areas of your body maybe like feeling a certain way that weren't in discomfort or weren't hurting before, but maybe like they were in the process of becoming a problem, and now you're intercepting this like at this very moment. So this is like really a good thing, a positive thing. But, you know, it's not just physical. Again, it could be thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You definitely want to just like take note of anything and everything and just really go with it, you know? Don't stop it and don't block it unless like, I don't know, you really feel like it's going in a bad place, but I find that to be unusual. And I do just want to say that discomfort is really always a part of life. You want to avoid pain. So if like there's anything that's like really painful happening, you can kind of slow it down or like stop it. But discomfort is like almost a requirement when you're growing, evolving, and healing. You know, I think that that's pretty clear. So yeah, stick with it. Definitely write down, like in a journal. You can do it beforehand, but I would say more so do it afterwards. What's going on? Because chances are one experience of quantum healing is, you know, probably not going to change your life unless you like are really, really proactive with like what you like learn and experience with it. But a lot of times just kind of get the point, particularly if you're not totally aligned to your intuition, you need to do it a couple of times. And it would be really insightful to know and understand what patterns are coming up. Yeah, there's no real rules overall. If you're not getting any results, like you feel like nothing has happened, I mean, chances are probably something happened. Maybe just you're not at the level where it can be that extreme or intense yet. But yeah, keep going. I would recommend doing this maybe like 2 times a week. I wouldn't do it like every single day. I probably wouldn't even do it more than 4 times a week, but you can maybe like work up to 4. But yeah, I wouldn't do it more than that, because keep in mind that you need time to kind of like live your life and deal with this healing, deal with this aftermath. Like you can't just be in a healing state and space 24/7. Like you need to kind of like roll through life in order to implement, you know, this healing into your journey. This doesn't really need to be like a super long thing to happen. It can be like 10 to 15 minutes. You definitely don't want to over inundate yourself, but yeah, it's whatever you want it to be. Like I said, you can definitely have boundaries, but I wouldn't go too crazy with them, because if you're setting all of these boundaries unintentionally out of a place of fear, you could just be blocking the healing to happen in the first place. So definitely see if you can kind of override some of your fears in this instance, because I do feel like it will ultimately be helpful, more helpful than not. Remember that this is integrated healing and integrated medicine. So, you know, it's not just about these experiences, it's about what you learn from them. Perpetually being open to healing after these sessions are over, focusing on self-care, implementing the learnings into your everyday life and your routine. It's kind of endless, and the more that you can integrate it, the more helpful that it will be. This is also a gentle reminder that sometimes things get worse before they get better, right? Like if you have been unaligned and to your purpose and path and your intuition for so long, this could be like somewhat of a tumultuous experience, but you know, it's always kind of like more positive in the long run. As you go through this journey, I mean, when I set the intention to do quantum healing and I'm just kind of like laying in my bed, I have the most wild things that happen to me. I get visions of aliens, of spirits, of masters, like all kind of just like randomly doing things to my body. That sounds weird, but just kind of like, you know, whether it's like they're holding up crystals or some kind of like wand, or just kind of like moving their hand, you know, above my body. Like it's just, there's clearly a sense of healing on the other side, and that healing can be crossed over into the physical world. And it is like very weird and creepy and spooky and freaky at like first, but once you get used to it, it's a lot more normal, because you know, we are kind of the ones who are in desperate need of healing, right? And we're the ones kind of adverse to it in general, and a lot of other spirits and entities are kind of happy to help, and they want to help, and it benefits them to help, because we're all part of one conscious collective. So yeah, it's cool. I don't know, it's interesting. I haven't done it for such an, you know, incredibly long time that I have you know, really hard-hitting story to tell, evidence to tell and share, but I do, you know, have an intuitive feeling that it's an important part of our lives and our wellness routine. And you know, this is like more of an official way to do it, but I'm sure that people are doing this all the time in other ways. They're healing in other ways. So this is really like kind of almost a good way to just do it, right? Like, because it can, you know, fall through the cracks. We can kind of forget, we can ignore, deflect, whatever. So yeah, only positive things, positive vibes. So let me know if you've tried it. You know, just be safe, be careful, but also be open. Peace.